Okay, so this lesson is going to be about the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula is another method to solving the quadratic equation. So far we've done factoring. We've done square roots. And last lesson you did completing the square. Okay, so the reason we need the quadratic formula is because sometimes the three methods above that we've covered so far either don't work or are not the quickest, easiest, most straightforward way of solving the quadratic equation that you're working on. So the nice thing about the quadratic formula, you can always use it. It's going to work for any quadratic equation, even the one with non-real solutions that you'll see in your next algebra course. Okay, so to use the quadratic formula, you have to be in the form ax squared, so something x squared, plus bx plus something x plus c equals 0, okay? Key thing, the right side needs to be set equal to 0, and we've seen that before. Okay, so if you have a quadratic equation in that form, the solutions given by this quadratic formula are x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac. Let me fix this, plus minus, and we'll, okay, all over 2a, okay? And the values of a, b, and c come from there, the coefficients in standard form of a quadratic equation. Okay, so let's get into an example. So the first thing we want to do is we want to start by identifying a, b, and c. Okay, so this is already in the form that we need in a x squared plus bx plus c. So therefore a equals 6, b equals 9, and c equals 1. Okay, now we can just throw everything into the formula. So especially when you're new to this, you want to be in the habit of rewriting the formula every time you're using it. Okay, so first identify with the values of a, b, and c. Write down the formula. Now that we have it, we're going to substitute. So x equals negative b, so that would be negative 9, plus or minus the square root of 9 squared minus 4 times 6 times 1 all over 2a, and a is 6, so 2 times 6. All right. So let's clean this up. X equals, can't do anything more without negative 9, plus or minus the square root of 9 squared is 81, minus 4 times 6 times 1, 6 times 1, 6, times 4, minus 24 over 2 times 6, 12. Okay. So x is equal to negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 81 minus 24 is 57. Yeah, 57 over 12. Okay, so if you notice in the directions, it doesn't say to like give our answer to the nearest 10th, nearest 100th, whatever. So all we're going to do to get our answers, we're going to break down this plus or minus symbol. So this means x equals negative 9 plus square root of 57 over 12. comma, negative 9 minus square root 57 over 12. Okay, so if the answer, if the question doesn't specify to round to nearest tenth, hundredth, whatever, leave your answer with the square roots like that, okay? So in the second example, we are gonna have to round to the nearest hundredth, so we're not gonna leave it in that square root form. Okay, first thing you should notice, this is not in ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 form. Okay, we need to get that 5 over to the other side. So, of course, we're going to subtract it from the right side to get over to the left side. That's going to give us 2x squared plus 7x minus 5 equals 0, okay? And since we're solving with the quadratic formula, let's write it down again. Again, keep writing it down. All right, so now we're going to get the values of a, b, and c. A is 2, b is 7, and c is negative 5. Okay, so now we'll substitute those values into the quadratic formula, and x equals negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 7 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 5 over 2 times 2. Okay, so we have negative 7 plus or minus square root of 49, and multiply all these out, so we got negative 10 times negative 4, so that's plus 40 over 4. So x equals negative 7 plus or minus square root of 89 over 4. Okay, so again, going back to the directions, it says nearest hundredth. So we need a decimal here. Okay, so let's go to the calculator and get the value of the square root of 89. And when we do that, square root of 89 is 9.43. So x equals negative 7 plus or minus 9.43 over and notice I'm going to place two decimal places because it says hundredth over 4. Okay, so that means now we'll separate the plus minus. X equals negative 7 plus 9.43 over 4, negative 7 minus 9.43 over 4. Okay, and now it's just calculator stuff from there. So let's see. Negative 7 plus 9.43 is 2.43 over 4, and then this comes out to negative 16.43 over 4, and we'll clean it up again. 2.43 over 4 makes 0.61. So x equals 0.61, comma, let's see, negative 16.43 divided by 4, negative 4.11. Okay, and that's your final answer for this one. Okay, last example. So this one is already in ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 form. A is 2, b is 7, c is 1. So notice the directions. We're going to leave the answer with square roots. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So that's going to be negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 7 squared minus 4 times 2 times 1 over 2 times 2, negative 7 plus or minus square root of 49 minus 8 over 4. So that's going to be negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 41 over 4. Now all it's left to do is separate them out. Separate out the plus minus, so it's going to be negative 7 plus square root of 41 over 4, comma, negative 7 minus square root 41 over